The Sanhedrin was the highest court and ruling council of the ancient Jewish nation. It once sat at Jerusalem, and later, after the diaspora, in Baghdad and Alexandria. It last sat before the fall of the Roman Empire.
It never sat in Stoke Newington.
Zinga.
Yes.
I would like to inquire about the room. Is it still available?
Oh, yes, of course. Do come in.
The man spoke German. I could tell straight away it was an Austrian accent. I even knew it was Vienna. Us, we were from Munich.
Pleased to meet you. Jonathan Singer, at your service. May I?
My family were tailors and in haberdashery, not just buttons and pins either. We supplied cottons, cloths, made suits, as well as doing repairs and alterations.
The room is 22 shillings and sixpence a week. 1 month's rent in advance, that's £4 and 10 shillings. There is the bathroom, there is the toilet, there is the telephone. And this is the bedroom. It's quiet. It's peaceful. Are you here long?
For medical treatment.
Oh, we have some of the best here. Zecher Litzius Mitzrayim, Kivanu vachata, v'osanu kedashta, mikol hamim, v'shabas kodshecha, ba'ahava u'varatzon, hinkilalu, baruch atah Adonai, makadesh hashabas.
Amen.
He gave me 3 months' rent in advance. He said he might be here perhaps 6 months. Some of the time he could be in hospital. If he has to go in, he'd like to keep on the room, to store his things and to have somewhere to come back to if there's to be more treatment later. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's very quiet.
Harry?
Yes, please.
You don't like to ask. Well, when you see him, you'll know.
Who knows what they've been through? They asked for it, certainly, but what we did to them, to Hamburg, to Munich, to Dresden, firestorms, worse than the 10 plagues. Your family comes from Munich, you can imagine.
For them, I have no imagination.
I told him, I said, I've made myself some tea with a slice of lemon, a lump of sugar. He tells me, thank you, no, I have a tap, a kettle and a gas ring, thank you.
He wants to keep himself to himself.
He's succeeding.
Harry thinks he's lonely. He says the lonely are the least able to break out of their loneliness. Harry's lonely.
I'm not so sure he's so lonely anymore.
And now to today's other news. A senior Scotland Yard police spokesman gave a statement this morning about Nazi officials on the run. The Coast Guard operating out of Dover was put on alert last night after 2 Nazi officers were picked up in Maidstone.
I thought it was for me, from one of my old customers. I thought, I don't know why, that you and I might have been in the same trade, tailoring.
I was an artist.
An artist? Oh, really? That's interesting. I have some books in German. Would you like to borrow them? Erich Maria Remarque, All Quiet on the Western Front.
I don't remember it ever being quiet. The author has taken liberties with the truth. It was even worse than he depicts. I remained with the same company throughout the war until 1918. I was wounded twice and the only survivor after 4 years. This is the one achievement of which I am most proud. One never knows if one is capable of courage or cowardice. I was happy to discover that I was capable of the former.
I wish never to be put to the test.
I don't think I could ever read the book again, but I thank you.
Jonathan, what's the matter?
That man in my house. I've heard him on the telephone. Just snatches. He keeps asking after a Borman. Borman? And he's had visitors, very upper class, Englishmen who speak German fluently. And they all bow and scrape to him. I could not help but hear. Once they were in his room, it was his voice that dominated. And he was an artist. He won the Iron Cross in the Great War.
So?
I cannot say. All I ask is that we confide in the management committee. I shall invite them singly to my house to have a look at him. He may not appear on cue, and we can't knock on his door, so it may take a number of visits. But if, in the end, half a dozen men think what I think, then we can decide what to do.
I have led this congregation for 30 years, through 2 wars. But I confess I don't know what to do. At this moment, what you have told me is all supposition. And for that reason alone, Jonathan, I agree we should gather more facts and discuss the case again. And of course, confide in our friends. I shall ask each of you who has been to Yanatan's house and who has seen this man to tell us, without prompting, plainly whether they can identify him. Without any doubt.
It's him. The beard's a disguise.
I have no doubt.
I know the face. Who doesn't?
It's definitely him. He had many followers here. Mosley, the Duke of Windsor, that Mitford woman. Well, if you were him, wouldn't you pretend to be dead? Spread a story of a suicide, of a cremation, leaving no trace?
May I say something?
Of course.
I've listened to you all very carefully. I had to, because frankly, I'm finding it hard to believe what I'm hearing. You know, none of you has actually mentioned his name yet. You know why? I wonder if it's because you can't really believe it too. But if it's your considered opinion that Mr. Singer's new lodger is indeed Adolf Hitler, we must report it to the authorities.
If we report it to the authorities, he will just produce his passport and say that we are all Meshuggahs. His upper-class English friends would come to his rescue.
They'll pull strings.
He'd escape justice.
Then how can justice be done? In ancient times, the Jewish nation would convene a Sanhedrin, a great court of the wisest and most learned. The gravest cause demands trial by the greatest court.
The good Lord, blessed be his name, it seems has conferred this task on us.
If we are to be the jury, this whatever you call it, then surely we need an accused, whatever you call them, a defendant in the dock.
But how are we to get him here? I assume the accused has a right to be present at his own trial. If we can't force him to come here, even if we had the means, it would be kidnapping.
We must try him in absentia.
The trial starts with an injustice. This is madness.
So we should do nothing?
Then he must have a defender.
And who shall defend him?
I shall. What do you know about courts?
Courts?
Courts. Trials.
I was summoned once as a witness. I'd seen a motorcyclist knock over an old lady, so I ran over and got his name. At the time, he couldn't say sorry enough. Admitted he hadn't been looking where he was going. But when he got to court, he was a different man. All dressed up in his Sunday best, he pleaded not guilty. Said that the old dear had run in front of him.
And then?
Despite all his supporters, his clean shirt and his grooming, he went down. The magistrate didn't even hesitate. Guilty. Absolutely right. Why do you ask?
I have never even been inside a courtroom. What can I do for you?
Can I have 2 eggs and half a pound of flour, please?
Harry, what is the plea?
Not guilty. By reason of mistaken identity.
I swear by Hashem and the law of Moses to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Why did you go to Singer's home?
He asked me.
Once there, did he ask you to do anything?
Yes. He said, take a look at the guest, but casually. I don't want him to know he's being looked at.
So where were you standing when you saw him?
I was at the foot of the stairs.
Looking up?
Yes.
What time was this?
After 9 at night.
After dark.
Yes.
From where you stood when he came out of the room to go to the lavatory, the light would have been behind him?
Yes, that's right.
The side of his face you saw would have been in shadow.
I suppose.
And that was your only sight of him? A glance?
I have sworn on the Torah. I have no doubt.
It was most definitely him.
Harry, I know you mean well, but I saw him with my own eyes.
The man is an Austrian. So was Hitler. He is Viennese. So was Hitler. He is teetotal and vegetarian. So was Hitler. He is affected down the right-hand side of his body. So was Hitler. He was an artist. Hitler, too, was an artist. And who else could this Bormann be that he mentioned on the telephone but Martin Bormann?
The world has accepted that Hitler is dead. Why can't we? Or are we condemned to see him in every old man we happen to meet who comes from anywhere Germanic? No. I would bet there are 1,000 artists in Vienna. 1/10 of them may not drink alcohol, 1/10 of them may not eat meat, but that would still leave 10 possible suspects. Our prejudice is that we want him to be Hitler. We want someone we can convict and punish for the wrongs done to us and our kin. But gentlemen, if you convict this man who has not been able to speak a word in his defense, you will do so simply out of fear. And Hitler will have won.
Gentlemen, your verdict.
Guilty.
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 Having assumed responsibility for trying the man, now it is yours to punish him. What other punishment can there possibly be but death? But by what authority do you execute this person? And by what means? I defended him. Must I be his executioner?
Edwards, reds, cauliflower and broccoli, Cox's pippins, sweet corn and onions, fruit and veg, veg and fruit. Veg, fruit, veg. Who cares?
The first watchmakers were locksmiths. They made clocks to ring a bell on the hour, to call the monks to prayer. It saved someone having to ring the bell manually. The first labor-saving device. It was a giant, more like the workings of a mill. But as they knew how to fashion metal, they soon learned to make the work smaller. Capitalists put up clocks in town squares, ringing the chimes, telling the people when to come to work, when to go home. And then the mechanisms were made smaller still, real miniatures, so that in your hand you held a glimpse of the universe. A perfect, purposeful, working order. And when I look at this miracle that ordinary men have created, I am filled with awe at the wonder of our universe. The greatest and most wonderful timepiece of all, turning in its regular, infallible way around the stars.
You love them, don't you?
They're a living.
Harry, you're worried. You'll be forgiven. So in your faith, when someone marries a Gentile, they mourn for him.
It's been known.
Then God is more understanding than people.
Come in.
This is Mr. Arterstein.
I am looking for my father. Herr Singer here kindly said that you might be able to help me. I have brought some good news for him. He is an artist, as you may know. Before the war, he exhibited some paintings in London, which sold well. The gallery still had a stock of them when war was declared. Technically, they could have been impounded. My father was legally an enemy alien. However, the gallery looked after them to abide better times. And now, the better times are here. I've spoken to him on the telephone at Herr Singer's. And the people from the gallery have visited.
And what was the name of the gallery, did you say?
Bormann's. Oh. Are you all right, sir? The good news is that Bormann's have exhibited his works to great acclaim.
Like Martin Bormann.
God forbid. Mr. Bormann of London is a Jew.
I knew that.
Are you all right, sir? It comes in good time. My father has been very ill, a stroke. It affected his right side. He came here for treatment as soon as possible. The proceeds from the sales of his paintings would help pay for it. When I heard no word from him, I came over myself as soon as I could. It is so difficult to travel nowadays. You have to have passes, permits, fill in forms, undergo interrogations. Well, you know how suspicious people are. I thought maybe he had booked himself into a clinic, but he would have left word. Rabbi Weizmann, can you help me?
What the Crown says is this case lacks a defence. These are the facts. Arthur Steen has disappeared, presumably dead. Wolf has vanished, obviously fled, and you've confessed. Gentlemen, I'll do my best.
My lord, the Crown says that the defendants, Singer, Wiseman, Samuel, Feldberg, Bernstein, Silverstone, and Grunwald, have confessed to an agreement made between themselves and another of their congregation, Wolf, who is yet to be apprehended. The agreement was to kill an innocent man, Mr. Heinrich Arterstein. Until recently, Heinrich Arterstein was resident at a boarding house, owned and managed.
My lord, forgive me for rising. The interests of justice demand that I be allowed to call 2 witnesses for the defense at once.
This is a highly unusual request. Who are these people?
The first is Heinrich Arterstein, the alleged victim of this alleged murder.
I have no complaints at all to make about my landlord, Mr. Zinger. I'm sure you won't know this, but I have recently received some quite unexpected attention in the art world. My paintings have been exhibited in a gallery. I have to admit that the excitement of a sudden fame and the demands of the exhibition itself quite exhausted me. I have spent the last few weeks recuperating in hospital. When I read about this case in yesterday's newspaper, I had no choice but to attend the court. Let me show you my passport.
This is my father, The murdered man.
Dear Rabbi and all, this is your old friend Harry Wolf, who wants to see you all again and to pray with you as he has always done. But there is someone else again in my life, a person who has made me
very happy. At this moment, we are on our honeymoon. Already, though, I am thinking of after the honeymoon. I would like you to accept Hilda. She is a lovely person, a gentle person, a Gentile person. As for the matter of our trial, well, I hope by now that you will be thanking me for not going through with the verdict. Conversion of a Gentile to Judaism requires instruction, commitment, and a judgment. If the woman is to convert, it is no small matter. Since olden times, the elders of a community in such cases have convened a Beth Din, a house of law.
You mean a court?
Yes.
No more courts. I move no more courts. Do I have a second?
No, you do.
All those in favor of the motion?